Assalamu alaikum, welcome back friends. You're watching Priyanka's channel. Today we are going to discuss about the nucleus, the director and the control of the cell. The nucleus is a double membranous, largest protoplasmic organelle which controls all the metabolic activities of the cell. It also contains the genetic information, right, which is inherited to the next generation. Double membranous body bound organelle, largest protoplasmic, controls the metabolic activities and contains genetic information. Clear? It's also called as the director of the cell. It gives directions. Director of the cell. Also called the controller. Controller, director of the cell. Controller of the cell. Also called heart of the cell. And it's also called the master organelle. Also called the master organelle. Okay. So this is the introduction of the nucleus. Let's go. Let's talk about the discovery of it. So it's about the definition and introduction of the nucleus. So let's discuss about the discovery part of the nucleus. Discovery. So when we talk about the discovery, the first scientist whose name comes is Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek, he first of all observed this nucleus in RBC of a fish, of salmon fish. Okay, first observed nuclei in the RBC of salmon fish. Clear? That it was followed by Robert Brown. He made a detailed study of this nucleus in roots of orchid plants. He made a detailed study of nucleus in roots of orchid plants. These are the flowering plants. And the credit of the discovery of nucleus goes to Robert Brown because he made a detailed study of the nucleus in the roots of this flowering plant. Then comes the name Hammerling, one of the important name when he discusses the nucleus. What he did, he actually did an experiment on Acetobularia in which he found out that this nucleus contains the genetic material, hereditary material. So Hammerling proved that and confirmed the nucleus contains genetic information or genetic material. Clear? So this is about the discovery part of the nucleus. So let's move on to the next part of it, and that's occurrence. Where we find it? When we talk about the occurrence of the nucleus, all eukaryotic cells, they got the nucleus. However, when we talk about the prokaryotic cells, they don't have the well-defined nucleus over there. There's no nuclear membrane. So there is no well-defined nucleus in case of prokaryotic cells. But when we talk about the eukaryotic cells, we do have got the nucleus, but there are some exceptions where nucleus is absent. All eukaryotic cells, exceptions are always there, except mature mammalian RBCs. Clear? But here is another exception, in the exception that's in RBC of camel and llama, nucleus is present. So this point may be asked in the examination, sometime entrance examination. Clear? NEET point. So NEET based point. So we do have the this eukaryotic cells. They got the nucleus except mature mammalian RBC, except the RBC of the camel and the llama. They do have the nucleus over there, and we have the another cell types of cells, phloem, sieve, tube cells. They also lack, they also don't have this nucleus present. No nucleus, right? And we call them, where there is no nucleus present, we call them as anucleated or enucleated. Anucleated or enucleated. We call them as anucleated, or better to call as enucleated. Why enucleated? Because RBC in the beginning they did have this nucleus, but it was lost. It was ejected out during the stage of this formation to accommodate more and more oxygen, which is the primary responsibility in the work of these RBCs, to carry oxygen molecules to all the parts of the body. So this is the occurrence. Now let's talk about the number. Okay, when you talk about the number, they are generally uninucleate, one nucleus only. Generally uninucleate. Binucleate in case of where there are two nuclei in a cell, in one cell. Example is Paramecium caudatum. In this species of Paramecium, we have two nuclei in one cell. Trinucleate condition is present. So this is important from the entrance point of view. We have trinucleate where there are three nuclei present in one cell. Example is again the Paramecium with the genre, but species is different. It's Paramecium, but the species is Aurelia, right? So you can have to, let me underline these 2 points. In Paramecium caudatum, we have two nuclei in per cell, and in case of Paramecium Aurelia, we do have three nuclei per cell. And sometimes the condition is multinucleate condition, multinucleate, and where we have many nuclei present per cell, many nuclei are present, large number of nuclei present, and it can be of two types. One is syncytium. Multinucleate condition is divided into two types, syncytium and sinusoid condition. Syncytium usually in case of, we call it in case of animals, and in plants we call it as sinusoid condition. Okay, for example, we have got the example under this syncytium. So syncytium is also a multinucleated condition, as is this sinusoid condition, but in animals we call it as a syncytium, and in plants we call it as sinusoid. If we go on to know the details of it, so we can come to know, we find it over there, syncytium is actually formed by the fusion of two cells. Sometimes there is a fusion of animal cells because there is no cell wall, fusion is possible. So when there is a fusion, heterokaryon, fusion is over there, That times we call it as syncytium. And sinusotic condition arises when there are three nuclear divisions which are not followed by the what we call it as this cytokinesis. Kerokinesis takes place, there is nuclear division, but there are no cytoplasmic cell divisions, because of which the condition sinusotic is produced, is formed. So examples, let us see the examples over here. We have opalina. Opalina, it's a protozoa. Opalina is a protozoa, right? So let me write it here to be clear. Opalina is one example. In protozoa, it is a parasite, protozoan parasite present in the intestines of frog and toads. It has got the multinucleate condition. We have got the skeletal muscle cells, where we have this multinucleated condition. Okay, and when we talk about the plants, the example is over there. We have, in case of plants, we have Vaccaria, which is an algae, and in case of rhizops, which is a fungi, we have this multinucleate condition. Clear? Okay. So this is the multinucleate condition. So now this was the number, and let's talk about the position. So when we talk about the position, we have centric. That means the nucleus present at the center of the cell. At the center, centric. So example is animal cells. We have eccentric. Eccentric, where the nucleus is not present at the center in the middle of the cell, but it is present a bit on one side, because the central part has been occupied by the vacuole, central large vacuole. So eccentric on one side. The example is plant cells. Got it? Sure. This is at the center. And the third one is, we got the peripheral as well. Peripheral, when the nucleus is present close to the plasma membrane. Okay, nucleus present close to PM, plasma membrane. So example is over here adipocytes. Adipocytes are those cells which are fat storing, which store fats. Adipocytes, because in the middle, what is present over there in the middle? The middle is large fat droplet. Fat droplets are present in the middle of it. That's why the central part is occupied by it. So this has been pushed towards the plasma membrane, this nucleus. We have basal as well. For example, in columnar epithelium, columnar cells. In columnar cells, you know, the columnar cells have got a rectangular shape like this. The nucleus is present over here at the base. Nucleus is present at the base. So this is about the position. Now quickly let's see the shape of it. When you talk about the shapes, mostly they are spherical in most of the cases. Sometimes they may be oval shaped. For example, in smooth muscles, sometimes we can have bilobed. We can have two-lobed nuclei in case of acidophils. We can have These acetrophils are actually the types of WBCs. We can have trilobed. We can have trilobed is 1, 2, 3. Trilobed. This is bilobed. Trilobed. In basophils. Okay. And then we can have multilobed. Let's mention over here multilobed. Multilobed. For example, like this. Multilobed, as in case of neutrophils. So all these three, acidophils, basophils and neutrophils, all the three are different types of WBCs, leukocytes. And we can have one more type, that is horseshoe shape. We can have horseshoe shape nucleus. Horseshoe shaped, okay. We can horseshoe shaped in case of verticilla, which is an algae. So dear guys, call for the prayer has been given, so I have to rush towards the mosque to offer namaz, to offer salah. Okay, I will meet you again in the next video with the structure and the functions of this nucleus. Till then, take care.